stability has been reached with our transportation. Internally in South Africa, the tensions continue to rise. Taxi violence in the 4 provinces of the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, KZN and Gauteng continues to be very rife. But we have seen of late the situation with intimidation of long-distance bus drivers. It seems that, the divisions there are growing far and beyond.
Well, those are things we're dealing with. Firstly, let me start with apologizing to the passengers that are experiencing those challenges, and also confirm that SANTACO condemn any form of violence in the strongest term ever possible, and we are dealing with them. There are people on the ground who are dealing with disputes. Each province has a disciplinary committee that reports to the Secretary General, Mr. Lintswane, and we are assisting from now and then. A national office will dispatch a team to go and assist in those provinces. As I speak to you, about a month ago, Western Cape has very peacefully elected a new leadership, and that leadership is represented here by its delegates at this conference that is going to be taking place here at the Sun City from today. And each province is being represented. The whole conference is conforms of 800 delegates, and 90% of the delegates have already arrived, and there are those that are still arriving, and in the next few minutes the conference will be in progress.
Another issue that we'd also like to touch on is this growing trend of taxi operators and members of the taxi industry seemingly intimidating road users who want to use a method of hiking to commute. It seems that in many of our areas across the country, in fact, you'll find taxi operators in colored bibs, and they say you cannot use a private transportation to get from one area to the next while we are operating here. What is that, and why does it always tend to be violent when people are forced out of these private cars and forced into taxis?
Well, unfortunately, we are being misrepresented there as the taxi industry. In fact, if we had good policing from the SABC, the traffic or the law enforcement authorities, such things should not be happening. Let me just quickly indicate that if we don't do anything about it, public blame us, and if we do something about it, public blame us also. And there's been incident now recently in Mpumalanga, somewhere around Bombela. A gentleman was given a lift by 2 occupants, and they didn't search him, and along the way he hijacked them and killed them. It's not long. It was in public media, and such things. If that person was not allowed in terms of the law, because that person doesn't have a permit to go around hiking for people. A taxi has a permit to do that. If you look at, unfortunately, the exposure, or we are always being exploited by almost everyone, including media at some instances, where when we are protecting our businesses was seen as violent. If you go to an airport, for instance, right now, you cannot just take a flight and fly people. You are going to be enforced to follow the correct procedures of aviation authority to make sure that when you fly those people, you're not gonna kill them along the way. Now, taxis, you must have a permit, you must have a PDP, you must have a roadworthy and a tested vehicle which is fit for the purpose, and also have a driver that belongs to an owner who belongs to an association, so that in an event something happened, we're able to track down as to where was the passenger where was the passenger taken from which taxi rank, and what was his point of disembarkment, and you are able to track that. During this time, so and so's taxi has loaded, and if passengers to a certain area, and if anything happens between that route, we are able to track it down. But if people keep hiking, sometimes it's people, passengers don't know a kumbi, whether it's a taxi, and all kumbis, they look like a taxi. And now when they hike, they get into a kumbi, and that kumbi is operated by thugs, and a lady get raped or a gentleman get robbed and end up being killed. They say a taxi was doing that. Now, our guys, as they stand on the road, they want to confirm that people are using properly and vehicles that are fit for the purpose. In fact, if we were protected by people like the law enforcement itself, this shouldn't be happening. We need not to be there and try and protect our business and protect the public. Maybe in the positive light, public should be happy that when we are standing there, nobody picks them up. Maybe that moment when we were there, we saved the lady from being raped.